Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 22 career mode, and today we are here for the 6th and 7th rounds of the season at Jerez and Le Mans. Now if you haven't seen the last episode, I do recommend you go check that one out, because of course we managed to pick up our second race win of the season and another podium in Austin, so it's a super successful episode in the last one. Sadly, it was slightly ruined by the AI just crashing all the time at Portimao. I mean, I had pace in hand there anyway, we would have won the race. But all the AI are crashing all the time, so the results were an absolute lottery, and none of our championship rivals scored at all. Now, John McPhee, to be fair, was just down out of the order anyway before that race happened. But again, I think that was down to crashes in free practice, and there was only one dry free practice session. So it was a little bit of a shame. The last episode was kind of ruined by all the crashes, but not a lot I can do. Hopefully this time it shouldn't be, but you know, hopefully we can still win the races anyway, because we're coming into some good tracks for us now. Jerez, that's usually a pretty good track. Obviously, you play all these European ones so much, they usually are quite good for the player. But without any further ado then, let's head into the Spanish GP. I'll see you after practice. So then, at the end of free practice, I didn't actually top the timesheets, which was a little bit of a shock to me, because I thought I was going to. I had quite a bit over the field, to be honest. I had a good, like, 0.8 of a second when I ended the session, but it seems like they did improve, so maybe there might be some simulated time things here. But that's good. I don't want to have a massive advantage over the field anyway. I'd like it to be nice and close. So, 4th place, that's still not too bad. That should hopefully get us into qualifying 2. I'm really hoping it does, because I've already skipped that session, and I've obviously not done any more free practice. So, I'm hoping that we actually do get straight through to qualifying 2, but I'm not 100% sure. I think we have the pace to get through anyway. I haven't even done a soft run yet, so if that's what the AI's qualifying times are sort of capable of, 46.2s, I could probably beat that because I did my time on mediums, but it was still using a lot of Power Mode 3 because I was trying to do lap by lap. I didn't end up getting the objective for that in the end anyway, but I was trying to do it, so I had to use a bit more Power Mode 3. So this could be a bit of a tasty weekend. I was expecting actually to have a decent margin here because I remember on MotoGP 21 having a fairly decent margin over the AI here. So this has been a bit unexpected. I'm quite looking forward to the qualifying session. Hopefully I'm into qualifying 2, but let's see what happens. So yes, we did actually get through into qualifying 2 immediately. Only just though, you can see. We are right at the bottom. We only beat Moreira, Holgado, and then obviously if we'd been behind them and one more rider, we would have actually been in Q1. So we only just hung on. So the AI do seem to have fairly decent pace at this circuit, which is always good. I'm always going to like that. I'm always going to like a good scrap with the AI. But coming through Q1 then, we've got my teammate Bartolini, Dennis Onchu, Alberto Sora, and Mario Aggi. So second race back in Europe, AI much more on the pace it seems than in the last couple of races, which is good because they've been a bit slow for a while, and I was kind of worried that I was going to start taking a bit too much of a march because usually these tracks are kind of tracks where you can get away from them and stuff like that, Jerez, but it seems like so far at least, their times are up to par. Not on track, it didn't seem like that. Whether those are still the on-track times they can do, 46s, that would be really nice, of course, because that was a really good lap from myself to do that lap initially. So, yeah, if they actually have that pace, I'm quite happy about that. But I do worry that maybe it's just a simulated time thing, because you can see how many went faster afterwards. I mean, they do usually improve from FP1 to FP2 and 3, but you saw how far I actually got knocked down. So I was only in 4th place, and I got knocked all the way down to at least, like, what? 14th, probably that was. Oh, Minio's already crashed. How did he crash there? Oh, I know what happened. That bug is not still in the game, surely. Well, that was a stupid question. But basically, if you wonder what bug I was on about, they used to run wide on the grass through that quick, is it turn 4, that one? Yeah, on the exit of it, they'd run wide on the grass and I was on the high side, and that would explain how he got to the inside of the track, because it would have sent him across the track when he high-sided. So, seems like they can still do that, which is always fantastic. And at Cito Ponds, they tend to cut the corner and hit the grass and crash as well. So then coming up towards the line to start my qualifying lap, that's not the best way to start it. Getting on the outside curve would have lost a lot of momentum up the straight. And if the AI really are as fast as they looked in practice, I need every little tenth I can get. Coming out the last corner then, I'd say where's this going to put us, but no one's even done a time yet, so it's going to be the top regardless, because apparently we're the first rider on track. So what's the first time? Well, 45.5. So it's not that one out the park, that's for sure. It's 2 seconds quicker than Minio. 2 seconds. I don't even know where that came from. How did I do a 45? Because I was thinking that was a bit scrappy in a couple of places. I mean, it wasn't a bad lap, but I guess that's the difference with soft and Power Mode 3 on the whole track. Because I only use Power Mode 3 at a few parts of the track, because I was trying to do lap by lap. So I try and do a good lap on the first run. Then on the second lap, use a bit of Power Mode 3. And then on the third lap, use all Power Mode 3. so that you help with the improvement. Because lap by lap, I don't like it as a practice program. It's quite difficult because the tyres start to wear throughout the session, so it's actually difficult to go quicker. But I used a fuel mode to do it, but I didn't even manage to do it in the end anyway because I ran out of fuel. But even still, I've not done a whole lap on Palmer 3 yet all weekend or on softs, but that's a lot quicker than I thought it would be. I thought it would be maybe just into the 45s, not a 45.5. So I'd say that probably is good enough, to be honest, because I can't see them going that much faster, especially I've got 1.7 seconds on the whole field. So then, at the end of the session, it was still pole position, but fortunately, not by as big a margin as it was earlier on in the session. I wasn't on pole by nearly 2 seconds, so I'm happy about that. Fortune did actually improve before I even went into the pits, I think, but a lot of these other times, well actually all of the times that are on the board here, I think were set when I was in the pit lane. I fast forwarded to the end of the session rather than just ending it, so that they had a shot to set the times. Seems like here, their simulated times are quicker than they can actually go. So that probably does mean that we've got a chance of breaking away again, a bit like at Argentina, because even on their simulated times, I've still nearly got 4 tenths. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's still a ridiculous margin to be on pole by, so we've got some serious pace here. As I predicted going into the weekend, I knew we'd be strong at Jerez. McPhee down in 18th place. I wasn't even really watching my title rivals actually in that session, but McPhee's 18th, Mino's 15th. Those are the closest two. Macia's up there in the championship as well, just behind them, and he's in 12th place. Suzuki's probably Suzuki's the closest one in 5th. But yeah, those three there, Toba, Ortola and Fernandez, don't even have to worry about them. So heading into the race, my closest title rival is in 5th. So we're down here on the grid then, looking at Ivan Ortola in 3rd place, Dennis Fogger in 6th. But this weird season continues once again. I was just more focused on the lap times during qualifying. I wasn't actually paying attention to who was setting them. But yeah, the people I'm battling for the championship are pretty far down the order once again. So this is another good opportunity to pick up some good points against them. Obviously, Portimao was a little bit weird. Most of them were up there except McPhee. McPhee was down there because he'd not qualified very well, but obviously everybody crashed. All my title rivals actually ended up finishing, well, not finishing, they DNF'd, but they were outside the points anyway. Yeah, it seems to be that we might be able to take a bit of a march here if we can have a good race, and obviously that's my objective. I'm going to try and win the race. We're going to see if we can get away, because it does look like that's probably going to be the case based on the qualifying and practice times. But you never know what might happen. The AI might give me a bit of a better fight. I think they did this in MotoGP 21 as well, to be fair, at this track. I think they were stronger in the race than I expected. But yeah, we'll get this started then. And hopefully it's a good race.
The riders are lined up on the Jerez grid. There doesn't seem to be any problems, and they're all ready to go. A few seconds now, and the lights will go out.
So then looking across at Kaito Toba, it is weird. We are going to be battling with some different faces than we're usually used to here. We're waiting for the lights to go out here then at Jerez. The lights out, and away we go. The Spanish Grand Prix is underway. It's been a good start once again. We're probably going to get the whole shot into turn 1, which is always handy in these races. Although I've completely messed up the first corner, so that probably allowed the AI right back onto the back of me. I've got a bit of a gap here, but they're probably going to be able to give me a good slipstream out of Cito Pons down towards Dani Pedrosa. Unless I can put a bit of time into them through this section. You'd think the AI actually would be quite good here, based on the fact it's like high-speed corners, but I just think I've probably just played Jerez so much. It's one of those tracks that just gets picked online. Well, actually, it doesn't get picked online that much, but it's just one of those tracks over the years. You play enough seasons of career mode, you play it, it's in like every game. It's been in every game for years, so you just get so used to it. We've got half a second then coming onto the straight. Let's see what the gap is by the end of the straight. Still half a second, actually. I think, in fact, it's gone up to 7 tenths, and I think that's more. I've made a big mistake into Dani Pedrosa. Maybe focus on the track instead of the gap, yeah? I think we did that in Austin as well. I think that's why I ran wide in Austin when I was looking at the gap. But yeah, I think that's more down to the fact that the high-speed corner coming onto the straight. But I actually managed to extend the gap, even with that mistake. I put it up to over a second. It dropped back down, but it was still bigger than it was into the braking zone. So yeah, it seems like they are a little bit slow. I need to check the difficulty again, but I've not been playing with it in any modes other than 120, so it should still be on 120. Just seems like at this circuit they've not got the pace, which is a shame, because after free practice 1, I was really hoping that they would. I picked up a track limits warning though, so that's very good for the AI. They're good to that last sector. You can see they took a bit of time out of me there, and that's why I got track limits warning, because I was pushing through that sector to try and keep the gap up. So sectors 1, 2, 3 are my sectors, sectors 4 is theirs, so yeah, I'll probably just have to take it easy to sector 4, it doesn't really matter. So coming up towards the line then, we're up to 2 seconds at the end of this second lap. So this is definitely going to be an Argentina style race at this point. It's not going to be like Austin where they sort of stay in there. I still don't see Mino or Masia or McPhee in the top 8 either. Suzuki's the only guy that's closest in the championship up there. I don't think Ortola's actually doing too bad in the championship, to be fair, so he'll probably pick up some decent points here and be able to bring himself into contention. But, well, compared to the other AI, but I think, to be honest, this is going to be quite a pivotal race, because if McPhee is outside the points again, he's already 8 points down on me. That would be a 33-point lead, which would be quite large at this point of the season. The weird part about this race is the fact that my pace isn't even that great, if you look at it. I mean, I don't have to push, so that's why I'm not pushing, because what's the point in crashing, but I'm only doing 47s, which aren't terrible at times, don't get me wrong, but I qualified with a 45, so, like, I'm 1.5 seconds at least, but 1.7 basically off my qualifying time, but I'm still pulling away like a second a lap from the AI. It does seem like something is going on here. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but again, I think the AI's times though were about this pace when we're on track, so they just seem to be quite slow at this circuit. Well, actually, the last few tracks they've seemed quite slow. They haven't seemed that fast, to be fair, since Mandalika. They weren't terrible at Austin, but I think that was more down to the long straight, and I made a couple mistakes in the Austin race, which allowed them to sort of pass me. I would have probably won that race if I hadn't made a couple of those mistakes, so yeah, the AI seems to have really dropped, and there's not been a patch or anything. That's the weird part, which is interesting because the game has been out a week now. Usually there's been a patch by now, so yeah, it is weird that the AI seem to have just lost so much pace since Mandalika. Although on this lap, admittedly, I've not pulled away that much. Now Artigas has hit the lead of the pursuers. They seem to be going a bit quicker. Yeah, actually, look in the on the left-hand side of the screen. Foggia now has the fastest lap, 47.1, which is a tenth quicker than me. But the problem is, I'm already like 3 seconds up the road almost. Well, actually, they've brought it down. It's 2.4 now. But it's the penultimate lap of the race. It seems like I think they battled. I think they battled on the opening laps. I think that's the problem. And they lost so much time battling because their pace now seems there. Oh, look at Artigas. He's on his way. Artigas is catching me up by a lot, actually. I need to be somewhat careful, but it's too little too late. I'm already, I'm already still 2 seconds up the road. He's got to catch me 2 seconds in a lap and a half. It's just not going to happen. So, you know what? There's going to be some lap from Artigas. It's going to be a 46, I would have thought. Based on how much he's closing in. Suzuki's just lost a couple of places there. So I didn't do a great lap. Yet 46.4 for Artigas. So that's what I wanted to see earlier on. This is what I wanted to see on the opening lap of the race. But it's just still too little too late because he's still virtually 2 seconds behind. And I'm going for it now. So I'm lucky there's not another lap because even on this lap you can see I'm under my time by 4 tenths, but he's gained on me a lot. So Artigas, once he got into clean air, was quick. So it does show you that AI's pace is there. Just they didn't have any in the opening couple of laps, but we're coming up towards the line then to win what's been yet another strange race for the AI. So I improved my fastest lap then to a 46.6 on the last lap, so the pace was there for me. I just didn't need it throughout the race until the end. But he still brought the gap down, because he set that on the final lap, that 46.3. And I'm actually happy to say that for once an AI beat my fastest time, and it wasn't because of the simulated times bug at the end of the race. It was because he actually started to catch me up, which was kind of unreal. That actually did scare me a little bit, because I saw he was coming a little bit, and I thought, it doesn't matter, I'll pick up the pace. I started picking up the pace, and he carried on catching me. So, fair play to Artigas there, and you can see that AI's times weren't too bad. I think they just lost too much time at the start. John McPhee then ended up in 12th place. Masia 14th, so not great points for those two. Where did Mino end up? 7th, so that's not too bad. And Suzuki in 5th, so yeah, we've gained some decent points in the championship there. So in the Riders' Championship then now, I'm now 29 points in front of John McPhee, so I've got quite a healthy lead there. I've actually got a lot more points over Mino than I expected, to be completely honest. I'm nearly 50 points in front of Mino. I've got 2 race wins worth over Suzuki and Ortola now, who are now tied. Masia's 58 behind. Artigas moves himself up to 7th, so the 4th to 7th region, pretty close, only 9 points separating them, and I suppose if you add Mino into that, that's only 12. But at this point, I've got over a race wins worth in the lead, which does not mean it's done by any means, because there will be tracks such as the Kimi Ring, where I'm sure I'll struggle, but at this point, that's looking pretty nice. After another race win, going into another track, Le Mans, where I should be pretty good. It's always a healthy thing to see. So moving on to the Teams Championship now, we've got 22 points over Snipers. Leopard move up to 3rd place. Max Racing moved down behind IO because a couple of poor races for McPhee there it looked like he was pulling away. He had a bit of a march. He had a decent-ish lead, and now he's over a race wins worth behind. So, yeah, poor couple of races there for John McPhee. But we'll head back to the Career Hub now, see what we got from this weekend, and then do anything we need to do between this and the next race and head into Le Mans. So from this weekend then we gained 5,200 reputation, which takes us up to 34,600 reputation. And on the credits front, it was another good weekend, obviously yet another victory, obviously meeting the objectives top 15 as well, giving us 6,110 credits, which takes us up to 89,620. As for the development, we've had a good weekend there as well. You can see we missed out on 2 of the objectives without falls and lap by lap. Lap by lap I did explain that I was doing it and I ran out of fuel again basically, but I was not even going to beat the time anyway. And without falls, once again, I don't think I crashed, so I don't know whether that one's maybe bugged potentially, but it doesn't particularly matter. So 675 now on the engine and 575 on the frame. So then we've not got any notifications on this screen, so we'll advance forward to the French GP, week 19 of the year. And we've now actually got a couple of things to deal with before that race. So we've got a new data analyst. So we already had Louis Leroy, but this time we got Raiko Nakano. I think that's how it's pronounced, and actually quite good. So +2 on the engine, +33 on the frame, but it's 31,000 on an annual salary, which is almost half of the money we have. So for now, I'll leave it because the bike development's going pretty swimmingly. To be honest, if I was actually going to hire any more staff, I'd be looking towards Moto 2, purely because we need to obviously develop the bike when we're in that category. But for now, in this one, we're 60% on the frame already, 40-something% on the engine, did it say 43%? Yeah, so we're getting through there quite quickly, and a lot of the upgrades, I mean, you never get to 100% because the last 2 are optional, so you pick which one you want. That always kind of annoys me. I mean, I suppose technically you've not bought 100% of the upgrades if there's, if you pick one and not the other, but you can only have one equipped at once anyway, so you're always better to just go for whichever one you want and not buy it twice. So there's only 3 more upgrades on the engine. On the frame, there's only 1 more upgrade, so yeah, I don't think we need any more data analysts or anything like that. But that's everything dealt with then before the French GP. So let's head into the weekend. I'll see you after practice. So then, at the end of practice, we were top of the session, but there's something going on with the AI. I've checked the difficulty again and again and again, and it's always 120%. But they're 2.3 seconds off in practice. Now, it's not as bad as it was at the start of the session. They were 3 seconds off. If you guys are playing career mode on 120%, let me know what lap times the AI are doing for you, because I think there might be a bug with my game, because there's no way that they're this slow, because we saw it in Jerez as well. They were doing really slow lap times, then all of a sudden at the end they sped up, and I feel like the similar thing might happen here at Le Mans. I don't know really, but either way, we're top of the session. I'm going to say 2.3 seconds, probably not going to get us sailed, so I assume we're going to go into qualifying 2. And we've got some interesting names at the top as well. We've got, Dennis on Choose not too weird to be fair, but we've got Sora up there. We've got David Munoz on the front page, so we've got quite a few. We've got a few odd ones out here, and I don't know what's happened to McPhee the last few races, but he's lost all form. Where is John McPhee? John McPhee's 29th place, 3.7 seconds off the pace. Yeah, I really don't know what's happened. It seems like McPhee's AI has completely dropped off. We're heading to qualifying 2 now, and, well, it looks like we're probably going to get pole position. I don't think it's much of a fight, but hopefully they do improve their times at least. So here we are in qualifying 2 then. You can see my time is still top, but you can see Sora is down towards the bottom of the sort of top 10. So it looks like the AI have improved. So hopefully the likes of Foggia, Messia, and Mina have done good times. But, I was about to say, once again, John McPhee's not gone through, but actually he is there underneath Ortola. So McPhee seems to finally be back on it a little bit. He's had a really, really bad couple of weekends, but at least he's finally in qualifying 2 again now. So the main championship rivals are in this session, so it could get a bit interesting. But coming through Q1 then, we've got the 2 Tech 3 bikes, so that means On-Chu must have got knocked out, so the AI probably have improved their times quite a lot. So I don't know what really happened in free practice, but hopefully they're a bit quicker in this session. Adrian Fernandez came through, Matteo Bertelli, Carlos Tatai, and Dennis On-Chu. Now we do actually have to watch out for Bertelli, because one of my objectives for the weekend is to beat all of the other QJ motorbikes, so we've got to make sure we beat all them, and the only 2 other ones are my teammates. I will just quickly show you that the AI is on 120%. I don't want to keep going on about it, but I just thought I'd show it there, and it's locked, so I can't change it. So you can see I can't change it during the weekend, so it's either a bug or they're just really slow. But hopefully they are much better in this session. We're going to go out on soft, of course, because it is a qualifying session. I have got to say, I do like the fact that softs actually last for a lap or so now. I mean, I think they kind of did in Moto 3 anyway. They sort of last because obviously the bikes are not as heavy, but yeah, it's nice to see you can actually use a soft tyre. In a lot of the classes in MotoGP 21, the soft tyre was unusable. Even as a qualifying tyre, it wouldn't even complete the whole lap. So by maybe halfway, 3/4 of the way around the lap, it'd get too overheated or it'd be too worn that you'd start to lose grip and you'd actually lose all the time you gain in the first couple of sectors, and it'd actually be quicker to go on a medium tyre. So I'm glad to see that that doesn't seem to be the case so far in MotoGP 22, because every single session I think we've done soft every single track so far. So the only issue I had with the tyres was obviously the first race with the hard tyre, which probably was a little bit bugged, but also I was quite inexperienced with the game. I think I could have ridden a lot better in that race. I'm feeling quite good around this circuit though. I literally did 3 laps, I think, in practice. I literally just did enough to do lap by lap. I did do it on this occasion because I was straight on the pace, whereas in Jerez, it took me a few laps to actually reach the lap time. The lap time was quite a difficult lap time in Jerez, whereas at this track I was beating the lap times by like a couple seconds because, I don't know, I guess the simulated times are... I think that might be the problem. Maybe the simulated times are too slow. Perhaps if I stay on track for a little longer in this session that I do a couple of laps, that'd be a bit quicker. Although Artigas currently is looking fairly slow because I'm not pushing. I'm on an outlap and I'm still catching him up a lot. And we know that AI actually do push on their outlaps. They go just 100% all the time. Coming into the penultimate turn then, he's probably actually going to get him away a little bit on this lap, Artigas, but it's probably not going to be massive. Actually, he got out of there pretty well, to be fair. Remember, he was hunting me down in Jerez, so he is one to watch, and he's actually not doing too bad in the championship. He's not actually that far off the top 3 in terms of points. Now, turn 1's not too bad, actually. It's turn 2 that's quite tricky, trying to get the braking right. It's about here, you've got to brake for it. You can see I'm closing up. In fact, I broke a bit early there, but I wasn't sure with the slipstream I had in the Palmo 3. So far, actually not a great lap, so I reckon I'm going to have to go for another one here. Yeah, definitely. The rear stepped out through La Chapelle, I ran wide. Oh, that takes me back to last year, actually. I remember Moto 3 here last year, the rear just kept coming out every single time I tried to tip it into La Chapelle. I need to get past Artigas now, though. He's holding me up so much, it's unbelievable. Should be able to pass him down towards garage there. They brake so early here. Watch how early he brakes into this corner. Okay, that made me look a bit silly because he didn't brake as early as I expected, and I think I broke a bit too early, and now he's hit me, and he's re-overtaken me. So, forget what I said. Apparently the AI are not slow, and apparently they don't brake early. But in practice they were braking around there. Yeah, 44.7, that's... Actually, that's not really a bit more like it. That's kind of... Well, I think that's better than what they were doing. It's still not that quick, I don't think, but... It's still a big improvement. I'm still 6 tenths underneath. I think I was in the 42s, was I, in FP1? So yeah, 43, okay, here we go. AI just seem to be super slow in FP1. I'm glad to see that doesn't seem to be the case in qualifying. At least they're a lot more on the pace. Nice to see McPhee at the top of the session as well again, because he's been missing for a couple of races. And even though he's my rival, you don't want to see the rival AI just drop off. So here we are towards the line then. What's this going to be? 1 minute 42, 143.0. That's not that great. I'm going to have to go and do another lap because Artigas held me up so much on that lap. It's unbelievable. So coming through the last turn then, coming up towards the line, we're 1.3 underneath my time. I think the AI have improved a little bit on their lap, but 41.6, 1.6 seconds quicker. So to be fair, I'm a bit quicker than I was in practice as well. But the AI, I'm really happy to see, are a lot quicker in this session than they were in FP1 because they were so slow. So then, at the end of the session, I was still pole, which, to be honest, is not really a surprise considering the pace we had in hand over them in practice. But this time, at least, it's only by 1.4 seconds. It's not great that I have to say only in front of that, is it? But there's not a lot I can do. I actually did consider starting from the back of the grid in this race, potentially. I mean, it's a bit late now that I've put it on pole. I'm going to see how it goes maybe in the next episode. If a similar thing is happening, I might start starting at the back of the grid, just to make the races a bit more interesting, because I'm going to win this race. Unless they kind of do what they did in Jerez and do those really quick times, but if they take a couple laps to get into it again, I feel like I'm just going to pull away. So I feel like I've got the advantage in this one, but we've got McPhee back at the front. Messia's relatively up there as well. I'm not sure where some of the other riders are. Obviously, we've got Mino down in 14th place, so we've got to watch out for McPhee. He'll be quite strong. Dennis on Chu seems to be a little bit better as of late, so watch out for him as well. But we'll head into the race now then, and hopefully I'm wrong and they can give me a good battle. So then we're down here on the grid looking at John McPhee, and it is nice to see him back. It's nice to see him back at the front because he's not been there for a few races. Now looking at Riccardo Rossi, interesting enough. Where is he? Oh, 28th on the grid. I thought it was showing him because he'd be somewhere near the front. I was thinking I didn't see his name. Where was he? But he's down in 28th, so I guess that's why I didn't see his name. But we're on pole position once again then. I don't even know which pole position this is. Is this the 5th one of the season? Because we're at round 7, right? I wasn't on pole at Mandalika and I wasn't on pole at Qatar. But I think I've been on pole for every single race since then. Heading into Europe, I always thought we would probably make a bit of a march because those are the tracks where I tend to be a bit better and obviously getting more used to the game because the game's been out like a week now, so I'm a bit more with it. But I really didn't expect this. We have a really, really big advantage here, so I would be surprised if we didn't pull away and win this one, but you never know. I think last year at the same track, I thought the same thing was going to happen. I think I ended up getting taken out on one of the first or second laps, so you know what, anything could happen. The AI could strike back. They could have me off here, so let's get it started and see what happens.
It's the French Grand Prix and all the riders are lined up on the grid. In a few moments, the lights will go out and the Le Mans race will begin.
So there we are then, Dennis Onchu alongside us, John McPhee, Holgado and Masia on the other row, so all the IO bikes really right near the front, waiting for the lights to go here then at Le Mans. Lights out, away we go. And has it been a decent start? It has been a pretty decent start. They've all gone over to the left-hand side. It's quite bizarre, really, isn't it? But they're getting a bit of a better run on me now. Onchu's closing up. They might be able to pass me as we go through turn 1. Oh, actually, this is turn 2, is it? I thought that was turn 1. Never mind, then. Into the chicane, anyway. I've got it a little bit hot, actually, and I wasn't quite able to get that one turned in. We've avoided... Oh, almost the high side. I almost crashed going out of there. That's going to allow Onchu to get a run. Onchu's got a run. There's been a crash behind. Not sure it is as we go down La Chapelle. You have to be careful. The rear can step out here very, very easily. Onchu's a little bit wide. Can we try and cut back underneath Dennis? No, Dennis still leads for now. Adrian Fernandez right up here as well. So yeah, all the Red Bull KTM bikes right near the front. We're going around the outside of Onchu. That's how late you can brake compared to the AI at this track. For some reason, they seem to be braking really early, and I think that's where they're losing a lot of their time. But no straight line speed, no lack of straight line speed there for Dennis Onchu as he was pushing me down that straight. And through here, they take an interesting line, although I've messed that one up a little bit. They go very, very tight through the first part. So sometimes if they're within range, they can actually cut underneath you there. And then the second part, they go a little bit wider, whereas that's the apex you want to hit, really. You kind of want to miss the first one and hit the second one, because the second one is where you get the drive out of the corner, which obviously matters a lot more because it's quite a long straight afterwards through the chicane. So we've already put up to 1.2 seconds, and we only just passed him about the corner before. So this is what I mean about the AI at this track seem to be... Well, I say at this track, it doesn't seem to be a track-specific issue anymore. I think if I've been saying it for the last 4 races, I don't think it's necessarily down to the track layout. You watch, I'll be moaning about the AI all the way through this race, and then come this track next year, Le Mans in Moto2, I'll be qualifying back at the grid or something, because they always seem to be a bit better in Moto2, so we'll have to see. But currently, Tech 3 in P2 and P3, McPhee in 4th, Messia's in 5th, to be fair, so I guess maybe that's where I was getting Messia from. But Mino's in 6th, so Mino's had a pretty good start, so my championship rivals are there or thereabouts. Actually in the top 8, which makes a change for the last couple of races. So at the end of the second lap then, the gap is 3.4 seconds, 1 minute 43.7, so, you know, nothing amazing there. So I feel like this is actually going to be probably a similar race to Jerez, where I'm just going to get into a bit of a slower rhythm and they might speed up at the end and start catching me up a little bit. I think that's what happened in Jerez. I got into a bit of a rhythm where it was a bit slower and I struggled to then pick the pace back up once they started closing in on me. Thing is, they're actually not that bad through Sector 1. It's Sectors 2, 3 and 4 they lose all the time. And I don't think they're that bad through Sector 4, but they're just so poor through Sectors 2 and 3, they just don't stand a chance. This is what I mean, he actually gained on me in Sector 1. Like, they're pretty decent in Sector 1, to be fair. So starting the penultimate lap of the race, we're now 6 seconds in the lead. I wasn't even actually looking at the gap until I looked at it. We got into the 42s on that lap. I've actually just started pushing now, just for something to do, to be honest. Doesn't seem like they're going to catch me. It's a bit more like Argentina, this one, rather than Jerez. But title rival update. McPhee's down in 7th place. Messia's 4th. Mino's 5th. I'm not sure what Ortola is. Obviously, he's one of the other ones that's up there. I think he's in front of Messia now. And Suzuki as well. Neither of the Leopards are anyway. There's been a crash, but I don't think there's anyone out the top 8. So about to start the final lap of the race. I'm 7 seconds in the lead now. 42.6 on that lap. So again, I mean, the lap time is not too bad, but they're not anything near what we were doing in qualifying. Well, what I didn't qualify, actually, it's probably still quicker than what they did in qualifying, to be fair. But I'm not going to really say anything else. I don't really have anything else to add. But do let me know if you want me to start from the back of the grid in the next episodes, because I am definitely considering that now, the way this has gone. I mean, obviously I'll have to have a look every weekend, the free practice times. But, yeah, I might start starting the back of the grid. But here we are then, coming through the penultimate turn. Thought I was going to cut that, thought I was going to get a track limits 1, and then through the final turn. Yet another win this season, a dominant victory, 6.5 seconds ahead of Onchu in 2nd. So apparently the gap actually went up somehow. It went up to 7.6 seconds, so I guess that's to do with the simulated times, but what a dominant performance there then. Such a shame that the AI seem to be so ridiculously slow at the last few tracks. I'm not really sure what's happening. So I do apologise for what's happened in this episode, but I'm powerless to change anything. I can't change the difficulty. Either way, another dominant victory there, ahead of Onshur in second and Adrian Fernandez in third place. Mino in fourth then, Masia fifth, and McPhee in sixth. So those are obviously the three that are really bothered about, Mino, Masia and McPhee. What about Suzuki? Where's he? Down in 13th. Foggia, 14th place. Bartolini in 15th, so my teammate picking up a point. And I think Bertelli was in the top 10 as well, wasn't he? So a good weekend there for QJ Motor. And I beat both of them, so we should get the extra research data there as well. And actually a couple of DNFs here at the bottom, so Kaito Toba and David Munoz both retiring from the race. So in the championship then, I've now moved to 44 points ahead of John McPhee. So we're getting on for 2 race wins ahead of John McPhee now. Only 6 points away from that, so it is starting to look like I'm going to run away with this championship. Hopefully the AI can be a little bit better. I think the next race is Mugello. If there's a track where they're going to beat me, it's Mugello. I'm not that great at Mugello. There's some massive straights, so much flat out sections. If there's anywhere where the AI are going to be somewhat competitive, I'd say it's Mugello. So watch out for the next race. But we've got Mino in third place and 59 points, so over 2 race wins behind. Then we've got Suzuki, Masia and Artigas all very close, and Ortola as well. So lots of riders super close here. 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th place, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th places, all super close. Although Holgado's not miles behind, so it is pretty close as you go down this championship, to be fair. But at the top, there's some quite big gaps. I mean, even between Mino and McPhee, it's a good 15 points. So yeah, at the top, big gaps, but pretty close as you go further down. So in the Teams Championship then, we're now 41 points ahead of Snipers in second place. To be honest, it actually did help this weekend that my teammates scored some points, because it does offset the few that they do score. Obviously, both the Snipers bikes should expect to score, but I don't think Suro was in the points, so I gained a lot on Mino, and then my teammates also picking up a few points there also helps. So we've got Io moving up to third place, Max Racing back up to fourth, Leopard down to fifth after an atrocious weekend for them. But after a good weekend for Tech 3, they move up to sixth place in the championship. But with that race weekend done then, let's head back to the Career Hub and end off the episode. So then, from that weekend we gained 5,200 reputation, which takes us up to 39,800. And on the credits front, another good weekend there as well. Another race win gives us 6,110 credits, which takes us up to 95,730. So we're quickly closing in on that 100,000 threshold, and we should get that if we get another win in the next one. As for the development tests, probably the best weekend we've had yet. We managed to pass everything. We had to get through to Q2, track study, top speed, clean lap, lap by lap. Did all those easily. Leading rider as well, of course. Of course we did those. Although my teammates did actually probably put up the biggest fight they ever have. So it actually does make me wonder, maybe if you get that, it makes your teammates better, or makes the people on the other bike better. Because of course I had to beat the other QJ Motor riders, so perhaps it boosted everybody with QJ Motor. Something I've never actually noticed in the other games, but potentially that is something that happened. But we've now got loads of research data, so we've got 938 on the engine and 750 on the frame, which is actually enough to put that final engine, well, not final, there's a couple more, isn't there? Put an engine upgrade on. So this one's maximum torque increase, that one's fuel consumption reduction, so I'll put maximum torque on. Although, to be honest, I don't know if I actually want to develop the bike anymore, but 6 weeks till that one comes in, so it'll be a while. You never know, we might be in a mess in a few rounds time and need it, because this championship's been so up and down, you never know what's going to happen. We've also got 5 notifications here as well, so I imagine there's some new Moto2 teams been interested, so contract with Factory Team. Yeah, Speed Up Racing are now somewhat interested. MV Conveyor Speed Up, so that would actually be a pretty good bike to try and jump on, to be honest. Although we also have some Calexes involved as well. American Racing, well, Honda Team Asia would be a really good one there as well. RW Racing there on Calexes now again. Don't know what the MV Augusta will be like. Perhaps if this season continues as it does, perhaps I'll challenge myself, put myself on the MV Augusta, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We've still got lots of teams that could potentially be interested later on that we might want to go with instead. And then I guess we've got some of the fake teams interested as well. We've got Kenwood RC, DHL Racing Team, MV Augusta, and Gas. So then, that's all the notifications dealt with. So that pretty much brings this episode to a close. So I do want to apologise for that episode a little bit there. The races were quite boring probably to watch, which I can't really do a lot about. The AI were just way too slow. I'm going to try and sort it out. Do let me know in the comments below if you've been playing career mode, what kind of lap times the AI have been doing for you, especially if you play 120%, but even if you don't, I mean, your lap times might be quicker than mine. You might be thinking, how is that possible? Because there could be a bug in play here. I'll try and play with the percentage. I might turn it down, turn it back up, see if that fixes it, maybe, re-triggers it in the game, that it's got to be higher. And also let me know what you think about me starting from the back of the grid in the future races. Obviously, I'll gauge it based on free practice times. If I'm like at the bottom of the timesheets in free practice, well, I'll be starting at the back of the grid anyway, probably. But if I'm not so high up, I might qualify, like actually give myself a shot. But if I'm like a couple seconds quicker like I was today, you know, maybe I'll start from the back of the grid, make the race a bit more interesting. Because if we'd started the back here in Le Mans, I have no doubt we would have still won the race, because we won the race by 7 seconds. So yeah, I assume we probably would have been able to carve our way through. But let me know what you guys think of that one. But I hope you did enjoy the video regardless. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.